Fake news host Caitlin Collins loves to talk to Democrat lawyers to talk about things, to explain things however she wants them to say or sound. But she doesn't like listening to Republican lawyers. Listen to J.D. Vance talk about this and explain.
She condemned both sides. In other words, he condemned the protest in Charlottesville to the extent that it got violent. He also noted, honestly, that there were peaceful protesters in Charlottesville, too. He's also condemned the protests that have broken out across our college campuses. So again, I think that if you actually look at what President Trump has said, he's making a reasonable observation that there's a ridiculous media double standard, but he has, I think, the courage to condemn acts of anti-Semitism, whether they're coming from the perceived right or the perceived left.
I would disagree that it's a media double standard, but you're a Yale-educated attorney, and I want to get your take on what we saw happen last week, those immunity arguments before the Supreme Court, where Trump's team, his attorney, argued that a president could order the military to stage a coup and to have their political opponent assassinated and be immune from prosecution, unless this theory that they were impeached and then convicted by the Senate. Do you share the view that presidents are basically above the law?
Look, Caitlin, I think we'd be careful about imputing words into the president's attorneys that they didn't actually say. What the president's attorneys said is that what the president's attorneys said, Caitlin, to be clear, is that there is a checks and balances system in our Constitution. Now, some things the president does, private acts, are liable to criminal penalties, but most of the things that the president does in their official duties, we have a system of impeachment, we have a system of checks and balances, the legislative branch that I'm a member of, the judicial branch. I did not read the president's attorneys as saying that the president could order a coup. The president's attorneys are saying that the constitutional checks and balances system would address that problem. And I think that's an important distinction.
But let me stop right there, because I listened to this. It's John Sauer, Trump's attorney. And when he was asked by one of the justices if the president could order the military to stage a coup and would it count as an official act, meaning he couldn't be prosecuted for it, he said it would depend on the circumstances. I mean, what circumstances warrant a president ordering the military to stage a coup?
Well, first of all, he did say it depends on the circumstances. So that opens up a whole lot of avenue for context there. But more importantly, Caitlin, he's just saying that would count as an official act.
But there are a number of an official act in your view too.
But can I finish the answer to the question, Caitlin? An official act, there are a number of checks and balances in our system. There's the impeachment process. There's the budgeting authority that Congress has. There are a number of ways where Congress has a check and balance control over the President of the United States. All he's saying is that the criminal liability procedures that exist in this country don't cover the president's official acts. And by the way, how could anybody disagree with that, Caitlin? Should Barack Obama be prosecuted for killing an American citizen via a drone strike? There are a number of examples in American history where if you apply the standard, the lawfare standard of the Biden administration against Donald Trump, it would make the presidency impossible to actually execute the laws.
Yeah,
in the name of taking down their political opponent, Caitlin, these guys are really pushing a legal theory that I think would destroy the presidency, whether a Democrat or Republican was in charge.
Well, I don't think Jack Smith is running for office, but on what you're saying, you're basically saying that if the president orders the military to stage a coup, you believe the only remediation for that is that he can be impeached or that Congress can restrict the budget?
Well, Caitlin, first of all, you're dealing with hypotheticals here that are completely outside the bounds of this particular situation. Donald Trump did not order a coup, despite the fact that a lot of media people say that he did on January the 6th. He encouraged people to protest peacefully. And of course, most people on January 6th did protest peacefully. What I'm saying is that you have to have some measure of liability for the official acts of presidency of the United States. And the way to create a check and balance on that system is what the Constitution prescribes here. You can't have prosecutors, many of whom, of course, are deeply embedded with the Democratic Party, trying to destroy the life of a former president who's now running for president because they think that they have a better argument for what that president should have done. You can have a political disagreement with Donald Trump, and that's totally reasonable. You shouldn't destroy the presidency in the process. And I think that's what a lot of the Biden administration Department of Justice is trying to do.
But you essentially are agreeing that the presidents should not be able to be prosecuted. Let me ask you something else, because as I mentioned, there is an open question of who Donald Trump will pick to be his vice presidential candidate. We just heard him talking about Marco Rubio. You're hosting a
You love debating Republicans on your very fake news show, Caitlin. Your fake news.